The question is, what is the policy direction of Obi and Asiwaju? Since we have Obi and I know Dr. Sunday Adelaja is not campaigning for Asiwaju. His position is just based on a track record, what Asiwaju has been able to achieve with Lagos. And as it stands now, Lagos is the fastest growing city in Africa. So what are the policy directions of these candidates that we have? Dr. Sunday Adelaja, I think I would like you to respond first.
Thank you so much. Doctor, first of all, I want to acknowledge Dr. Moses, and he spoke so passionately that it touched my heart. And I've been praying and hoping that one day we'll have such leaders like himself heading the church of Nigeria. Because personally, that's another day, the discussion for another day. I think the corruption in Nigeria and the rot of Nigeria started in the church. And we need to fix the church to fix the country. But that's a discussion for another day. So this one, I'm seeing it as a secular discussion, what we're doing now. Not even bringing Christianity here. Just assume that I'm not even a Christian. Just do analysis of factors that bring about development of nations. And I'm an expert in that, believe me. I've spoken in the United Nations twice. I've spoken to United States, America, on this topic. I've spoken to their Congress and to their Senate as well, because I do research. And I always remove sentiments. Now, even though, like I said, I was so touched by what Dr. Moses had said. And I pity him as a young man that despite the fact that it touched me and brought me to tears, that he, just like he said, I have some blind spots, but his own, I will not call it blind spots. I would say I so much pity him because he's so passionate to see a better country. But because I'm an old man, in hindsight, there are some things that I know that could help people like him, that I could share with him, even as much as I would also like to learn from him and from his experience and things that are on ground in Nigeria. But because of hindsight, because of what I've seen all over the nations of the world, not just looking at Nigeria, those are what inform my position. That how can Pastor Sunday, who led Orange Revolution and who did all this, now be standing for somebody who is shaken? Okay, first of all, saying moral is not what is number one priority when it comes to governance. Let me start with Orange Revolution. I was one of the people that led Orange Revolution. You can go to YouTube, it's YouTube or Google and Google it. And the president that we brought in was the most moral politician in the history of Ukraine. And that's why we fought, because I was a young man. And I thought what you needed, the most important thing you needed, just bring a righteous person there. Because when, the righteous reigns, the people prosper. And righteousness exalts a nation. So those are the scriptures we stood on. But this guy was so nice, and even up to now, every Ukrainian will say he's nice. But after 4 years of his reign, only 5% Ukrainians voted for him to come back. Why the guy who had been imprisoned twice was preferred to come and take control? Because he was a good person, but economically, he doesn't have an idea. He couldn't fix the country. But the guy even was in prison twice, not for political imprisonment though. This is one was for rape, one was for another thing, stealing. Yet he became the prime minister and brought Ukraine to the highest. Ukraine was the highest growing economy in the world under him. Those are lessons to be learned. Because the man was a leader and he was a people person. He could assemble people and he could do the job. So because he is a leader and it is capacity and skills that informs what nation you build. And of course, track records, because he had been a prime minister before and he did it, you know. But this man we brought in was a banker, he was a central bank director, but he was never been a politician. He doesn't know how to hold the whole country together. He doesn't understand how politicians behave. But even though he was a good man, but this one is a corrupt politician. But corrupt, maybe, but he knew how to build people together, use to build a nation. So I that have seen that, not just in Ukraine, but in the history of nation building, I've come to value principles above sentiments. And I've come to also realize that we as Christians will emphasize one aspect of Christianity, of Bible, spirituality, morality, but we don't see other aspects like skills, like proficiency, that are also in the Bible. Other examples too, if you study the kings, you will see that not all of them were morally perfect, but most of them that succeeded, they succeeded because of some principles. So I've discovered that when it comes to the matter of the earth, it is principles that you use to build the earth, to build nations or business or family or something like that, not emotions and not sentiments. So, but I would like to discuss that later on with my brother. But let's talk about morals. I would rather prefer Dr. Moses to be the presidential candidate in Nigeria. I'm waiting for a day like that, when it's maybe Dr. Moses or maybe it's Dr. Martin or it's our MCC today. Anybody that has the fear of God, that is real Christian. But I cannot say that of Peter Obi. He has a posture, he's selling himself like that. But I have information, for example, and the information is already public, that competence is better. But even morality, I question morality of Peter Obi. I've written part of it in my article, but today I also had information from people from PDP who were close to Peter Obi, that Peter Obi was in charge of bribing traditional rulers in the East. In 2015 election, from PDP, is the one who was distributing money. And 2019 is the one also, all the bribe that Atiku was doing. Atiku was not going to give money himself. It was Peter Obi that they were using to give all the money. But Peter Obi will come forward to the camera and behave as a pious person. And people who are naive will follow him. But if you study track records, again, I'm coming back to track records, what he says, what he has done, and I put them on the same scale. Both Peter Obi and Tinubu. Yes, I know about Tinubu's cases of corruption too. I'm not naive. I know all the things people say about the drugs, what his story in the US and things like that. I know all that. I have all of them in my hands, both for Peter Obi and Tinubu. When it comes to morals, for me, none of them is a Christian, and none of them has moral. So I'm only talking about competence and track records right now. So if I'm going to take it from that area, for me, if the only thing that is left is track record, competence of what they have done. Now, let's now talk about the diversity of Nigeria and the complexity of Nigeria that my brother spoke about. So when you talk about diversity, he says in Taraba alone, there are almost 100 languages there, which is true. I have some disciples, a lot of them in Taraba, some of them are even running, both in the PDP and APC. And they have told me this over the years. But what I want to say is that, Dr. Moses, now, let's be sincere before God and man. Let's take Obi on one hand and Tinubu on the other hand. Who of them has interacted and related most and have worked in harmony the most among the complex, diverse tribes and nationalities of Nigeria? Of course, if you say they have 100 tribes or languages in Taraba alone, at least one person out of all those 100 will be in Lagos. At least one person. All of them are in Lagos. At least one person. And I know a lot of Tarabians that are in Lagos. And Tinubu has interacted. That is what makes Lagos unique. At least one person from every tribe. I mean, I'm not even saying 1,000. At least one person. He has managed it in Lagos. So if you are going to use track record and competence, it is Tinubu that still has the edge when it comes to complexity. Now, when it comes to Islam, do you want to tell me that if Obi becomes president, he will manage Islam better than a Muslim will do? Of course not. Or do you want to tell me that it will go and the Hausas and the Fulanis and all the northern people that are so complex, they will take an Igbo Obi from East to come and be telling them what to do and give them direction? That is what PDP people were saying when Jonathan was there. They were saying, no, this is, they were just trying to betray him, or they were trying to sabotage him because he's from the South. That sabotage will begin big time. And everything that happened, people will say is sabotage because it's Igbo man. So I think when it even comes to that, Muslim and religious complexity, a Muslim from the South will be much more preferable to balance up things in Nigeria now than a Christian from the East. Talking about larger Nigeria right now, before God. I think, it's obvious that it will do better. Now, when it comes to the question now of my brother Martin, what about the programs? What about the plans? What about the memoranda or whatever they're going to do? What was their blueprint? This is where I am most at peace. Because if you know the story of Asiwaju, and I hate talking about Asiwaju, but I had to do it because a lot of my disciples that are following me, I see that I have taught them. Some of them have even fought me. Some of them have even cursed me. Some of them just because of this, or be something. But I say, no, I will not say, because I don't want to offend my disciples, not to speak what I know to be the right thing. One person on the side of truth is a majority. I will not contact Ashurabuju. I will not contact APC people. I don't want to meet them. I don't want to have anything to do with them. But I must be on the side of truth. And the truth right now is that at the place where Nigeria is now, only out of all the candidates, only Ashwaji could do it. And I will still come to address his health later on. So when it comes to plan and the blueprint for Nigeria, this is where I'm at peace. I'm totally at peace. Because I was speaking, maybe some of you will remember, one of the last times I was in Nigeria, actually it was the last time I was in Nigeria, I was invited by a friend of mine, Sam Adeyemi, to speak at his leadership conference. And there were two of us who were the speakers in that conference, myself and Fashola. Fashola at that point was the governor of Lagos State. So he was the governor, and I just came from Europe, and we were the two speakers teaching on leadership. The guy is smart. Fashola is good too. So anyway, what I understood after that whole conference was that Asiwaju assembled, because Fashola was not the front runner to become the governor. There were other people like Femi something, Femi Bad something. Huh?
Pedro,
yeah, Femi Pedro or something. So those are the things that Asiwaju was telling us. But he assembled a committee of people before the election. That's it, before he himself was even elected, Asiwaju himself. And he just, you can say he locked them up for months, about 50 people or so. Experts from diaspora, from America, from Europe, from everywhere, from Nigeria, the best of minds. This is what Asiwaju did. And made them to come think, we call them think tank. With this think tank, they drew up a program, before he started to reign, a program and a blueprint for Nigeria for between 25 to 50 years. Program for Lagos, not for Nigeria, for Lagos. This is the way the man operates. So his hands might be shaking in the physical, but his brain is not shaking. Just like me now, that I am 50 years, I'm 55 years old, I'm going to 60 soon. And with my age now, I can see that I can no more do all the acrobatics gymnastics I used to do when I was younger. But I am still feeling myself as if I'm 17 or 18 or 19 inside. Inside, people don't get old. Your body could be weary, but your brain, if it still has the capacity to think and to function, and you say he forgets this, he forgets this. We all know who does that not happen to. But if he has the vision, the capacity, the idea, the ability to think, and people around him have been telling me, and I know people like Oshibajo is a personal friend, a good friend, and I was asking him that, why are you running again? Is it because it's else or something? People like him, people like other names that I could mention, they have told me on personal note that Asiwaju outworks every one of them on daily basis. That Asiwaju will be on his feet for 14 hours, 18 hours. They will be tired, they will be ready to go and sleep. Asiwaju will still be working and summoning them to do things. That's the kind of capacity the man has. I have it as first-hand information. So the fact that his hand is shaking or something, just like Biden, the president of America, he's also shaking. People also say things about him. Trump or people like that, they are even older than him. Anyway, but I'm just being sincere before God and man to look at competence, capacity, and to say who can help Nigeria at this time, looking at their track record. The track record of Obi, if we will make the mistake of putting Obi, we will have so much crisis, not just with IPOB or in the East, in the North, everywhere, Muslims, all things. We will not have a country. It will just, even Obi couldn't manage his state. And did you go to study the 7 or 8 years when Obi was in government? Anambra was boiling, Anambra parliament. They impeached him. His own Igbo people impeached him as governor. He is the only governor in the history of Nigeria that was legally impeached without pressure from president to say to the it is his own people who impeached. He cannot build. He's not a team builder. He doesn't know how to work. He's not a team leader. But this is where Asiwaju trumps in. Asiwaju is an expert in building people together, building capacity, and building team. Obey is just playing to the gallery, trying to be humble. But he is not, he's always fighting somebody. He fought with people in Afghan, he fought with people in PPP. That is when we talk about the integrity of Obi, Wike said that is exactly the reason he doesn't want to have anything to do with Obi, because he's immoral. That is immoral man. Abga also said Obi is an immoral person. And they said they caused him. These are his own people. Do you know what Nnamdi Kanu, I don't take his word serious. Do you know what he said about Obi? He said he has videos of Obi in hotels doing, some crazy stuff. But I don't want to even go into all that. So out of all this something, I don't see any moral person there. I don't see any Christian in this one. I'm just focusing on track record and capacity. Thank you so much.